So in our last session, we were checking on how we can manage to create primary ledger or the ledger, and we agreed we will come back once the system has stabilized, and I believe today we can be able to do something. So just like we said, the primary ledger, we create it or we define it through the general ledger application or module. Then under the general ledger application, of course, it has been connected with the general ledger responsibility. With that, we can be able to access the accounting setup function, whereby we can access it through setup, financials, accounting setup manager, accounting setup. So that's basically is the navigation where we are supposed to define the primary ledger. And with us, we have the forces. Okay, we have the currency, we have the chart of account, we have accounting methods, and we have accounting calendar. So we can progress.
This was much.
Hi.
Yeah,
Dennis, can you hear me?
Yes, you are quite breaking before you lost the connection.
What about now?
See if it's better. Proceed on.
Okay. So what I was saying is that we will have to work with the forces, whereby we have the currency, chart of account, accounting methods, and accounting calendar. All these four, we have defined some, and some will just select from the system. For the currency, this one we enable. Chart of accounts we define. Account. So sorry for that. So again, coming back to the logging in the system, because we already have discussed the rest, we only need to see probably how we can be able to achieve this with the system. Okay. So we log into our instance. And from here, go to the navigation, setup, financials, accounting setup manager, accounting setup. But before we go there, we can open the Java forms because we might need to use them. Navigation is the same. So this is our accounting setup manager page, whereby we said we can be able to achieve accounting setup, do this accounting setup steps. It is creating accounting structure, defining accounting options, complete accounting setup. Those are the 3 steps. So here, we said we can be able to query either the ledger or the legal entity. These are the ones that has been defined already. You can be able to query through this search by. Then you've defining process is to come and click on the create accounting setup for you to define the primary ledger. So once you click on create accounting setup, first of all, it will take you to the page whereby you're supposed to create the legal entity. But we don't want to start with legal entity. We want to start with primary ledger. So you click on next. Once you click on next, it will bring you to create accounting setup, define accounting representations. So here, this is where we define the primary ledger or the ledger. So we can be able to either provide, one thing is to provide the primary ledger name. So you're supposed to provide the primary ledger name, but the 4 C's, these are the 4 C's, that is the chart of accounts, accounting calendar, currency, and accounting methods. So with these 4 C's, you can be able to create the primary ledger. Okay. So with this, we can go ahead and see. Initially, we couldn't be able to query or to pull our chart of accounts from this field. And remember, once we define it, we're supposed to see it from this end. The same case with the calendar. So what you're supposed to do here, once you are defining the primary ledger, is to provide the primary ledger name. This is TAD. I think we had already tried to provide what is TAD primary ledger. TAD primary ledger. Then here we provide TAD chart of accounts. We have TAD chart of accounts. So this is the one that we defined, and it had some stacking, of which we had to do the bouncing of the system so that it can complete. But this one, we are trying to create it to try and see whether it will complete before this one. So we'll go with the first chart of accounts, the one that we had created before, which is TAD accounting flex. So this is the structure name that we provided when we were defining the accounting structure name. So in this case, what you're supposed to do is to, once you provide you select the chart of accounts, the ones you have already defined, you come and also select the accounting calendar. So in our case, accounting calendar was TAD calendar, of which the period is monthly. So we called it TAD calendar. Then we are supposed to come and select currency. Currency, in our case, which currency are we working with? Anyone? Work with
USD.
Yeah, we can work with USD. Okay. Then the accounting setup, subledger accounting method is not mandatory, but you're supposed to provide it because we are using the subledgers. You'll be using payables, cash management, receivables, and the rest. So once you click here, you are supposed to, if you know it, you can type. But if you don't know, you can just come here and click on the search engine. And once the search engine opens, it will give you the field or the window where you can search more. That is by providing probably the name, or by keeping it blank and clicking go. Okay. So once you click on go, it opens several subledger accounting methods and subledger accounting method owners. So we use the Oracle subledger accounting method owned. So for this case, we usually use, in most cases you'll find either business we want to use either standard accrual or standard cash. So in this case, most cases you'll find they work with accrual. So you select standard accrual as the accounting method. Right? Once you click on, or you provide that, the next thing you're supposed to do is to click on next. So once you click on next, the system will tell you carefully review your accounting structure. Remember, we had 3 steps of the accounting structure of creating the accounting setup. So we are defining the accounting structure. Carefully review your accounting structure before saving. Once saved, you will be unable to change your primary ledger. To make changes, move back to previous steps. So this steps is just, or this level is just giving you a warning, because this is the information that you have provided. Okay. We have the name, we have the type, we have the currency, we have chart of accounts, accounting calendar or period type, and we have the subledger accounting method. So you are supposed to review very well all this information. If you are not comfortable with one of it, you can always click on back. And once you click on back, it will bring you back to this page where you are supposed to select again. Is there any question?
None from me.
No questions.
So since everything looks okay, in this case, we can just click next. And everything looks okay here. You can click on finish. Once you click on finish, the system give you a confirmation message. Confirmation accounting setup that primary ledger has been saved successfully. You have just saved the accounting structure third primary ledger. Before you can enter transaction and perform accounting, you must define the accounting options. For this accounting setup, you can define the accounting options now or later. So here, we're just being advised on probably how you need to define the accounting options. So the first stage was defining the accounting structure. Then the second stage is providing or defining the accounting options. And the third one will be to complete the accounting setup. So you can always say return to accounting setup, or you click on define options. Okay. So if you happen to say return to accounting setups, it will bring you here. Okay. But you have your primary ledger, but you will find it's in the stage of in progress. We said that we have 3 stages: completed, in progress, or not started. So if we come here and search for our primary ledger and click on go, you see we have it here. Okay, we have it here, and we have the option of updating. So through updating is now where we'll reach to the features, which is for accounting option setups. So you can see the status here. What I was saying, it is in progress. Okay, it is in progress, and what you're supposed to do is just to click on update. The moment you click on update, it will take you to a window where you should be able to define the accounting setup options. So if we click on update accounting options, what you see here is that we don't have the primary ledger here. We just have primary ledger, third primary ledger. But what happens is that the moment that we will finalize defining the primary ledger and we attach the legal entity to it, our primary ledger name will come somewhere here, and we'll always be seeing it for the purpose of update. But in this case, the ledger options, that accounting setups that we have been tasked to complete, they are here. So these are the setups, and they can always be updated. But first of all, you have to finish with the ledger options. This is the ledger options. And how do you do it? Here you can see we have the status. We have even the last update date. And we also have the user updated by who status, and we have the option for update. So what you're supposed to do is to click on update. There is an error here. The data that defines the fixed field on this field may be inconsistent. Okay. So I think this is the issue with compilation, of which we can be able to check, because you remember when we were having some challenge in compiling the flex field because of the issue of the concurrent manager not completing. So what we are supposed to do here, we will go and try to compile. Remember, this is a case whereby you should not encounter. It's only because our system was having issues. But in this case, what we are supposed to do is to go to setup, financials, flex fields, key segments. So there is a step here we skipped because we never we experienced some challenge. So we query our accounting structure name through the general ledger application. Okay. Then here we look for our the first one. Okay. So here we were supposed to compile this, accounting structure to complete. So we are supposed to click on compile and say okay. Then the system will give you a note that the flex field was compiled successfully. Submitted request to generate flex field view GL code combinations. So if you come here, I tend to believe it's the same issue could be affecting us, because you see it's talking about code GL and structure number, then general ledger SQL name accounting flex field, and structure name, structure, third accounting flex is not compiled. So this is what we are doing now to compile. So, and we navigate to see how it it is compiling. So the first one has finished. Refresh, and it's done. So let's try again. So this, come again and try to update. See, now we don't have the error again. So what does that say? In each and every stage, if you happen to skip one stage, the system will always hold you accountable. You have to go back and finish that first. So that's what exactly has happened. And now, so far so good. We're in the next stage, define the accounting options or the ledger options. And here, what happens is that once you click on update, the system will open the update ledger window, whereby you will see some information. Some fields are mandatory, and they are must have information. So what happening here is that there is the standard information field. Under standard information field, the system is picking the ledger information that you have provided when creating the primary ledger structure. So what happens is it will take the ledger name as the third primary ledger, and it will give a short name. You see, we have a short name here, whereby the short name has some additional character different to the primary ledger name. So there are some additional character whereby the system is picking, it's giving it's cutting the primary ledger name and adding a number and or a code and the currency. So that's how the system is making these short name. It's using the primary ledger name, not the whole of it. It truncate it, and also it add a code and the currency that is being used by this ledger. So that's the system. This is purely provided by the system. It has no human intervention. Then you can give description, although this is not mandatory. Then we have the currency. This currency is what you selected when we are defining this primary structure name or accounting structure name. Then we have chart of accounts. Under chart of accounts, we have the our chart of account name, that is third accounting FX. Then under the chart of accounts, we provided, through creation of chart of accounts, we provided the or rather through the creation of a primary ledger structure, accounting structure, we provided the accounting calendar, and under the accounting calendar, we provided the accounting period. So this one is defaulting from the accounting period from the information we have provided. Then we have the first ever open period. So this is the period that the system is trying to think that probably based on the primary ledger, maybe this could be our first ever open primary, open period. I think we provided for a period starting from July to June. Okay, so July is our first period. That's what is defaulting in the system. But I think you can change if you feel like probably this is not what you want to work with. Then number of future enterable periods, it's 1. Then there is subledger accounting method. So this is what we have just selected as the accounting method. You can always change. Then we have the journal entry language. It is American English. This one we did not select. This one the system is defaulting it. So there's nothing you need to do much here. Mostly you'll find the system is working on it. But sometimes when we are using the encumbrance, which we'll come to probably learn later, we may change this accounting method. We use the standard encumbrance. So although that one is not for now, But primarily, this is what we define, or this is how we work on this page. There's nothing much we change because most of the information it's defaulting. But once we go, we click on next. Okay. Once we click on next, we get other fields whereby we are supposed to provide the ledger options. Okay. Under the ledger options, you might find there are some areas which are mandatory and others are not mandatory. For instance, retained earnings account. This one I mentioned when we were defining it. And probably I said it is very important and has to be provided somewhere when you are defining the primary ledger. It's nothing else apart from here. So you see it is mandatory and it has to be provided. And you can see the system is defaulting to our accounting chart of accounts structure. In our chart of accounts structure, we have the company, we have cost center, we have accounts, projects, feature 1 and feature 2. So here you can come and select the combination. Select the combination. And this is the segments how we defined them. This is how exactly we define the segment. And out of the values that we have defined, it's what we'll be able to select here. Okay. So in this case, you might find, like for instance, this case, the system is defaulting all the segments to be provided. But you might find in some areas you'll find it's not mandatory. We can remove this mandatory feature whereby we may not need to have to select everything. So here you're supposed now to provide the combination, and the combination now is the values that we defined when we were creating the accounting setup. So for accounting chart of accounts. So in this case, in our company, if we click on company, we are supposed to see all the companies that were defined under company segments. These are the values that we defined. So we defined marketing, software, insurance, and consultancy. So you can select maybe company one. Okay. Then you click on cost center. I click on go to see all the cost centers that were defined. And you can see we have several of them. You can select finance. Then we have accounts. Now under accounts, this is where you select. Which account do we select here? Anyone with an idea? Anyone can give a guesswork? You can guess. Okay, let me query them first. All these are the accounts that we defined. Okay, all these are the accounts that we defined. And something else, we have select. You can click on select. You can click, for instance, you want this employee training. You click on select button and you click on select tab here. But for quick selection, you can just click here and you will not need to come and click here again. So in this case, we are interested with retained earnings. You can see here we are talking about retained earnings account. So there's no any other account we select here but retained earnings. And that's why we defined it. Okay, then we go to projects. I'm not sure whether we defined values for projects. We'll see. There is no values. We can quickly define them for purpose of understanding. So application is general ledger. Title is accounting flex. Structure is DAD. Second one, and you click on find. So if you go to projects, and the projects we never defined anything. So that's why we don't have any value here. Hope you understand. So here what you're supposed to do is to, I can't remember the maximum value we provided in the value set, but we can try with 0. Let's say provide 1 and tab. So we had provided 4. Okay. So maybe we can say 2000, or you say 00, call it default. Okay. And you say to the 1000, can provide a set our project. And set 2000. Can call them line projects. Then we have 3000. Can call them water project. Say we have power. Save. Okay. So we need to disable these two because they are not having any value, but we'll create the default, which is 00 default. One default. You save. And you come to feature 2. So give it default. Default you provide because it means it's not having any record. It's not tracking anything specific. So we need to have it compiled. Once you close and you go to view request, click on find. I hope it will complete. Ideally, we are supposed to use it once the compilation is done. Let's hope this one completes so that we can complete our memory ledger setup. Good. think it has completed. So if we go to our system or on our ledger option setup page, that is accounting setup. Now if we click on projects and click on go, you see we can be able to see what we have defined. So we can just select any, like the default one. Okay. Same case with future one. Click on go. And you have future two. Then you click on search. So there is no any combination like this one that has ever been done. So once you are in this scenario, what you're supposed to do is to create, but you can see our create option here is not active. Why? Because there is somewhere it's being controlled. So to be able to enable this create, what we usually do is something in our segments or in our structure name, in our chart of account structure name. Find that. So you're supposed to come and say allow dynamic inserts. This checkbox was unchecked. So that's why we cannot be able to select and create a combination. But the moment now we allow it like that, allow dynamic inserts and save. Okay. And compare. Then view. Find. It has already finished to compile. So if you go now here, I think you're supposed to, okay, sometimes it takes time to enable this. You might find it's taking even some few hours to enable this, but we will try and see. So we can try to search, but we need to open this window again. So if I close this, okay, click back, click next, then come and open this window again. So one. Then I go to cost center. That has one. It's 00. have accounting. This one I can't remember the code. Projects, yes, defaulted them. So the code combination is still, or rather the create effect is still not enabled, but probably by a few hours or maybe by tomorrow we'll be able to see it active. But basically that's how we enable, that's how we provide this. So sometimes you find we have to leave it, we keep on coming and checking, but I believe most probably by tomorrow it will have activated this field. This is the field for where we can create the code combination. Once we create the code combination, we can be able to provide the retained earnings. So apart from that, that one will have to wait. It's the system, that's how it's been defined. It's not an issue or like something that we can say it's hindering us. That's the standard functionality. So what happens is that once you provide the retained earnings, of course here is the main only mandatory thing that you need to provide. Then you, in future, you will have to use or to provide other options, like for example, journal processing. How you want the journal to be processed, you can come and you will come and define it here, providing the fields and checking the checkboxes that are provided. The same case, for instance, now we have a session where we'll be learning about journals. We'll have to come back here again. So in this field, you'll find it's not a one setup thing. There are things that you'll find we are coming now and then to probably to adjust based on the requirements of the client or the nature of the business. So that is that. This one will have to go up to that level because that's how the system demand. But we'll come and check it tomorrow for completion, for the purpose of completing and be able to complete our primary ledger. Once we are done with the primary ledger, of course, we'll be delving to, once we create the primary ledger, already we have done the accounting setup manager, that one I explained. We are in the process of primary ledger, then we will define the legal entity, okay, and we will assign legal entity to primary ledger. Then we will assign primary ledger responsibilities to primary ledger. Okay. Then number 17, we will create rating units. So ideally, that's how we will be able to do tomorrow, and we are only relying on the primary ledger, so we cannot progress, because the moment we create the legal entity, we'll be able now to assign the legal entity to the primary ledger. Any question?
Yes, just a quick one. There was an interview which I was in, and I was asked to differentiate between the segment qualifiers and the segment qualifier and flex field qualifiers between the two, and I fumbled that seriously. So could you give me a high level difference between the two? I need to note it down. Next time I ask, I will be in a position to give a precise
Difference between
response.
segment qualifier and flex field qualifiers.
Yes.
You see, for flex field qualifiers, we assign them to segments. That's the primary goal. And the segment qualifier, we assign them to segment values. That is the primary definition, point number one. Okay. On the flex field qualifiers, they give characteristics or certain characteristics to segments that have been defined or segments that has been assigned to. And for instance, you can say, if it's for instance a natural account segment flex field qualifier, it gives the quality or characteristics of natural accounts to a segment. Okay. The moment you give that characteristic to a segment, you can be able to define natural accounts on that segment, or you can be able to define natural account as segment values under that segment. So primarily, this is that you assign flex field qualifiers to segments, and the segment qualifiers to segment values. Does it make sense?
Yeah, sure.
And when was the interview? Because we have already done this.
The interview was the other month. It was in July. It was in July.
Before we looked at this, have you gone through the? Were you in this? Were you in this session when I was explaining the? Where is this?
Yes, I was. But we just gave the what. Yeah, I think what you mentioned is what I wrote it down. Assigning to segments that for the flex field
Session I gave details, very detailed,
Yes.
of it. So primarily is that we assign flex field qualifiers to, segments, and segment qualifiers to segment values.
Okay, sure. I think we are good now.
All right. So I think